Hello everyone and welcome back to the Hammered Corner. In today's video I have a new series here on the channel. So because I work for Essex Coins, I get a bundle of coins sent to me each week to ID, photograph and upload onto the website, and it means that I am exposed to at least 15 new coins each week. So I thought I would do the oldest coin hunt ever on YouTube, where instead of hunting for the rare coins, you can have a look at a bundle of coins spanning 2,000 years. So what do we have in this week's bundle? Let's find out. Okay, so the first coin pulled from the group is a small half-groat from the reign of Henry VIII. The obverse side displays the lesser recognised bust of Henry, sometimes referred to as a lacquer bust on his groats. This was produced during the second coinage minted between 1526 and 1544, before he issued his three-quarter facing bust design that we associate with what Henry looks like today. At the top of the coin we have the cross potence mint mark, and on the reverse we have the long cross pomme and the Tudor shield, and around the legend translating to the city of Canterbury where it was minted. And finally we have WA next to the shield, denoting the Archbishop in charge at the time, Archbishop Warham. A lovely coin in collectible condition, and it's a shame they're not appreciated as much as the third coinage coins. Secondly, keeping to the same denomination, what coin do you think we have here? Yes, that's right, we have a Henry V half-groat, and we know this coin is a class F, as it has an annulet to the left of the crown, a trefoil to the right of the crown, and a mullet on the king's breast. And if you're thinking of getting into hammered coins, then be sure to get a Sphinx book, so you can start to compare your coins and ID them yourself. The reverse displays two lots of legends. The outer legend translates to the commonly used "I have made God my helper," and the inner legend translates to the City of London. Now, professional numismatist David Greenhalgh, who has appeared on the channel before, has written an extensive guide to half-groats, and if these take your interest, is a must-have, and you will find links down below. Thirdly, we have a small halfpenny from the reign of Henry VI. Before working with Alan, I had no experience IDing these, and it has been a big learning curve. The obverse has a front-facing bust of the king, and is a pinecone mascot issue that dates this coin from 1431 to 1432. Now there isn't a pinecone marking on either side. You can see the bottom of a diamond shape, which is the mascot in between the X in Rex and the A in Angli. On screen is a great reference guide for these that has helped me a lot. The reverse displays a cross pomme, and the legend reads Civitas London for the City of London. Next we have a beautiful example of a Philip and Mary groat that I have recently purchased from Essex Coin and will be in my collection later this year. You have seen Mary's sole reign issue where the obverse displays a more flattering portrait and unique lettering in the legend, but these dual reign aren't as common, especially in high grade. Now Bloody Mary married Philip of Spain, and her larger denominations display both of their portraits, and the groat is where her portrait issue stops. The mint mark is a lis, and this coin was minted between the years 1454 and 1458, making this coin over 450 years old, and is a great piece of Tudor history. Next we have a half-groat from the reign of Henry VII. Now this coin was minted during his facing bust issue, before he struck the first English coin using a realistic portrait and breaking the conventional design used for over 150 years. I think this coin has been cleaned in the past, more than likely a detecting find, and the finder gave it a good clean to make the coin visible. We have a crowned facing bust of the king, and Henry VII's bust is very unique, as he is the only king to have an arched crown during this design. On the reverse we have the two legends again, the outer translating to "I have made God my helper," and the inner circle reading Civitas Cantor for Canterbury. A very commonly found coin and a great addition to any collection. So what do we have next? We have the smallest coin in the bundle, an Edward I farthing minted in London, sometime in the late 13th century. Although not at the centre of my collecting interests, these little coins never fail to amaze me when they get sent through. How they engraved a die that small and make it look so good is beyond me. The sterling coinage was in full production from 1279 with the aim to overcome the poor coinage still in circulation left from the short and long cross coins. The obverse displays a crown-facing portrait of Edward. This type doesn't have an inner beaded circle enclosing the king, and the reverse bears the cross pomme and the legend reading Civitas London. As you would have seen in the video a few weeks ago, IDing Edward coins is on this year's agenda, and these farthings have many types to keep collectors interested. So let's go from the smallest coin to now the largest denomination in coin in this bundle. This is a shilling from the reign of James I of England. These are big beautiful coins and are my favourite denomination to collect because of their size and overall design. The obverse displays James facing right with the XII behind the bust, denoting the denomination, the shilling or 12 pence. And this was minted during the second coinage. We know this because of the rose mint mark at the top of the coin, or for those more experienced numismatists, the bust style too. The rose mint mark dates this coin from 1605 to 1606 and began minting the year of the gunpowder plot of 1605, or the celebration of bonfire night as we know it now. This is the most sought after date, more so with the sixpences that bear the numeral date above the shield on the reverse. On the reverse we no longer see the cross pomme, but now have the newly introduced Stuart shield that bears the arms of England, France, Ireland and Scotland. So, continuing with the reign of James I, we now have a very small penny from his reign, minted during the first coinage between 1604 and 1605. We know this because of the Liss mint mark. Pennies minted in the second and third coinage bear no portrait of the king, instead bear the Tudor rose on one side and the thistle on the other, and that is an easy way to tell what coinage this coin was minted in. And on the obverse we have the king facing right again, and we have the coin's value behind the bust. On the reverse we have the Stuart shield, but now we don't have any legends at all. And I really like the simplicity of the design, and I think they might have realised they wouldn't be able to get the detail of the shield if they made it small enough to also engrave a coin legend too. Next we have the final coin minted during James I's reign, and do you know what denomination it is? I mentioned that pennies from the second and third coinage bore a Tudor rose on one side and a thistle on the other. Well, this isn't a penny, but instead it's a half groat. An easy way to tell the difference, if you don't have diameter, is the half groat has a crown on top of the rose and the thistle, and the penny is without. This coin was minted in the second coinage between 1604 and 1619, and bears the rose mint mark. I really like this design, as it really displays how James implemented the Scottish designs into the English coinage, bringing the Scottish thistle on one side and the Tudor rose on the other. I don't have a half groat, but I do have the penny which sits proudly in my collection. Okay, so the next coin is Irish, and it's an Irish penny from the reign of Henry III. In 1247, Henry's younger brother, the Earl of Cornwall, was granted the right to strike new money for a period of 12 years in England, Wales and Ireland. This has such an interesting obverse design. We have the front-facing bust of the king holding scepter, but the Irish coins have a king enclosed within a triangle. So if you see a penny with the king in triangle, you know they were minted in Ireland. Now this was minted in Dublin for a short period of 3 years between 1251 and 1254, after which the Dublin mint was closed as it was most likely no longer profitable to keep one open once the desired amount of coins were struck. We have the long cross on the reverse of the coin, with the mint and the money in the legend. The void in the middle of the cross was used as a guide to cut the coins into halves and quarters when needed at the mint. The man in charge of the Dublin mint at the time that this coin was struck was Rickard. If you haven't already, be sure to pick up a Scottish and Irish Sphinx book that opens up a whole new world of numismatics for you to research into. And our next coin is another Irish. This time it's an Irish halfpenny from the reign of King John. King John reigned during the short cross coinage, so his coin reverses look a little different. But first, the obverse displays a front-facing crown bust of the king, this time without his scepter, enclosed inside the Irish triangle. What a great refreshing looking coin, and looking at its condition is probably a metal detecting find. On the reverse we have another triangle. This time we see a crescent moon, stars and cross inside with the money and the mint written outside in the legend. The mint of this coin is Dublin and the money in charge is Robert. This tiny coin books in the Sphinx book at £100 in fine condition, so isn't one you see every day. And for a coin minted at the start of the 13th century in 1208, is a timeless piece of history that makes our hobby the best in the world. Our next coin is probably the best example of an Elizabeth I threepence I've ever seen. This coin was probably dropped very early into its time in circulation and has a crowned left-facing bust of the Queen, of which is very distinctive to this denomination. We see the Tudor rose behind the bust and the mint mark is a Fion. That dates this coin into the third and fourth coinage. The obverse legend translates to Elizabeth by the grace of God, Queen of England, France and Ireland. We know that this has to be a sixpence, a threepence, a 3 halfpence or 3 farthings, because they are the denominations that share the rose and the date on the coin. The only difference will be the diameter, and for more experienced numismatists, the bust variants. The reverse displays a Tudor shield with the date displaying the year it was minted on top, and on this coin was 1564. What an immaculate tone on this coin. and as an Elizabeth I coin collector, would look good in my collection. All coins will be posted on the Essex Coins website, although these videos are posted weeks after the release on the website, so be sure to visit Essex Coins every week for new coins being uploaded. We now have the last coin from her reign in this bundle, and now we have a very small penny minted in the 7th coinage right before her death. The obverse displays no rose behind the bust, and the mint mark is the number 2. The number 2 mint mark dates this coin to be minted between the years 1601 and 1602, and for those wondering where I get this information, you can match the mint mark to the reference in your Spinks book or on the PS Detecting website. For those who have never held one of these coins or are wondering, this coin weighs 0.46 grams and has a diameter of 13.8 millimeters. We then have the second coin from the reign of Elizabeth's father, Henry VIII. This time we have a first issue half groat. This is a lovely dark example with the king facing right, and the bust has now been designed in full Renaissance fashion, illustrating a lifelike image of the king following the same design of his father's coinage. The mint mark is to the left of Henricus in the legend, and is the marlet, that is a marking of a small bird that dates this coin from the years 1509 to 1514. Henry used the same design of his father's coinage, where the only difference being the etching of 7 changes to 8, changing from Henricus VII to Henricus VIII. The reverse displays the newly introduced Tudor shield, and there are 2 keys underneath the shield that denotes that this was minted in York under the Archbishop Bainbridge. I absolutely love these designs, and for those who saw last week's video on my Tudor milestone of collecting a coin from each Tudor monarch will know that I have a similar design groat from Henry Tudor's reign that I am so happy to own. Oh yes, now we have a 2,000-year-old Celtic silver unit. This is an Iceni Norfolk God type silver unit minted during the Celtic period, and wow, boy do I want to keep it. There is something so infectiously interesting about the Celtic designs, so simple yet so beautiful. Here we have a man's head facing right with an oval eye, with short dashes for hair, and on the other side we have a horse facing right, pelts above, tricorn within, and lozenge below. I could spend a whole video going over these coins, of which maybe a video I do sometime this year. The Celts use currency as a symbol of wealth, as well as everyday transactions, and if you'd like to learn more, follow the link on screen for a video I did on 5 gold Celtic staters. Okay, so we only have 2 coins left, and the second to last we have Henry III long cross penny minted in the middle of the 13th century. On the obverse we have a front-facing bust of the king holding sceptre, but unlike his Irish coins we saw earlier, the king is enclosed in a beaded circle rather than a triangle. The legend reads Henricus Rex III, King Henry III. This is a class 5 and in great collectible condition, and I have a couple of high-grade examples of his coins, and they are a great series to research as they are categorized into their own class system. On the reverse we have the long cross with a void down the middle, 3 pellets in quarters, and the mint and money in the legend. As you can see at the bottom of the coin, the money is Willem and it was minted in Canterbury. I am hoping to do a full coinage introduction into these this year, but in the meantime, Christopher R. Wren is a book I wouldn't be without, and has helped me so much when I go to ID these into classes and subclasses. And finally we have a hammered coin from a king in Scotland. This is a Scottish penny from the reign of Alexander III. Now amazingly, Alexander III is most famous for dying of all things, and if you'd like to learn more about this, check out a video I made on a penny of his here on the channel. This penny was minted during his first coinage, which in my opinion is very crude in style, produced alongside the long cross coinage of Henry III. It wasn't until the recoinage in England that his coinage was improved too. The obverse displays a left-facing crowned bust of the King of Scotland, and as you can tell the overall coin design is a bit messier than we're used to seeing. And on the reverse we can see the long cross, and instead of pellets that we see on English coins, we have a very crude looking stars. So if you find worn coins with stars in quarters, this is a great way to know it's minted in Scotland. And on some issues of Scottish coins, counting the points of the star helps you ID these into subclasses. So there we have it. I hope you've enjoyed today's video and you've come away learning something new about a coinage you may not have seen before. There was a wide variety of coins, from a 2,000-year-old Celtic coin to the Irish coins of Henry III and everything in between. If you enjoyed looking through a large bundle of coins and learning to ID them, let me know down below and I'll keep them coming when I have a wide variety bundle come through the door. Big thanks to Essex Coins for giving me this opportunity, and be sure to check out his website every week for new coins like these, all of which are for sale if not sold already. Thank you all for your continued support, and as always, keep collecting!